Welcome once again to Showtime at Japan Expert Insights. I am always, at least on my better days, Michael William Foster. And as always, we have Maya Matsuoka.
Yes,
in Tokyo. Today's guest, Kanako Horii-san, who's also in Chicago. Don't be fooled by the Japanese name and appearance. She's actually, the burbs of Chicago, but still Chicago nonetheless. So that's why it's dark. We're over here on the two sides of the Gamera monster. That is our podcast. And we are just so delighted to have her today. We're going to be talking about some card game design, which is a little off the beaten path for us, but we'll explain why we're going in this direction a little bit. So as always, we wait for everyone to log in. And this is my chance to just talk about anything I want. So I'm going to talk about two shows right now here that you can watch in the States that are really, really good. One is called Glass Heart, and you can find it on Netflix. It is a Japanese show about musicians. And of course, it's got Rad Whips. I think it's one of the guys from Rad Whips doing the music, because of course it does. And it has that beautiful soaring kind of like soundtrack to it. And it has Miyazaki and Takeru Sato, who are in the show. And Takeru plays the musical genius. I always tell people who want to watch like shows that, the Hallmark Channel is really big here in the United States. But a lot of people don't like to watch a Hallmark Channel just because it's like, it just feels like brain cells are just like falling out of your head. But they do like the fact that you can watch something that's very nice and very sweet, and it's not going to like accuse you and offend you and just drive you crazy. Like a lot of indie stuff, which I do prefer. But I admit, sometimes it can get a little heavy. Japan does a wonderful job of creating television series that are for kind of like everyone. And they're delightful. They you just feel happy watching them. And this is one of those shows. But I do like it a lot because it's got higher production values. There's like a show called ICU that had Fumida Kaido, which was a really cute show, but kind of suffered a little bit from the budget. You can kind of tell it gets a little cheesy and a little cheeky, which sometimes Japanese rom-coms can do if they don't have the money to back up the idea. But in this particular case, Glass Heart does. It's a pretty nice watch. Also, if you happen to be in the States, on Amazon Prime, Tokyo Salad Bowl, which is a detective show, but it involves a lot of characters who are immigrants into Tokyo. Now, of course, for Americans, we're used to having immigrants all the time, and apparently this is becoming a problem here. It's stupid. But in Japan, they're not used to it. This is it's a smaller percentage of the population. So they decided to write this detective show with a kooky detective and her translator, and they basically tried to help these different immigrants when they get in trouble. So it's really it's a fascinating show. I'm only a couple of episodes into that one, but I like them both, and so they both come highly recommended. But what I do like about both shows is they kind of show how Japan is sort of progressing as a nation and becoming international, much more international over the last few years. Now, we're going to go on a tangent here, and people are going to wonder where we're going with this, but I'm used to it by now. People who listen to the show, I often go on tangents. One of my favorite books I ever read was called The Art of Game Design by a person named Jesse Schell. He was a former Imagineer, worked for Disney, and he decided to write the most comprehensive book about game design. Now, it was, for me, a wonderful book because I was interested in game design, but I also found in terms of marketing and design and branding and everything I was doing, I found a lot of those lessons to be applicable. And what I did find is that in this, they were talking about this in like 2010, 2011, that we're going to enter this era of gamification. And you can use games as teaching tools. So it's going to be one of those big things. So now we get to Kanako. So why is she on this show? She's a game card designer. Well, even though, yes, we do film and television here, we're also doing video games. We're going to be expanding our guest pool, as you will. We've had stand-up comedians. We're going to have game designers. We're having a lot more people involved over the next few months, which is really exciting because the truth is, Japanese entertainment is simply that. It's entertainment. It could be a film. It could be a TV show. I mean, that's traditional media, but it could also be social media. We have a lot of influencers. We have video games, which are so popular. So that being said, Kanako here decided to develop a game called Shake Hands, which helps Japanese and American business people, especially those in the C-suite, understand each other better. So For a lot of my people who are in the entertainment business, if you're working across the pond, the bigger pond, Japan and American relations, if you're trying to figure out how to work with each other and how these studios are going to cooperate a little bit better together, this is one way to do it. So without further ado, Kanako-san, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you for being on. So, real quickly to get on your history is a little interesting before we get into the game. You were born here and then you left and you came back. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I was born in Chicago, which the name of the city is Evanston, and stayed there only 10 months. And I mostly grew up in Tokyo. And when I was 4, I lived in Bangkok, Thailand for 1 year. And after that, I spent most entire my life in Tokyo. And then 1.5 years ago, I moved to Chicago again. Decades later, I came back.
Now, you were pretty young. So what was it? Was it just because you were born here, you always wanted to come back, or was it just by circumstance that you came back?
I almost forgot I was born in the US, but I wanted to work abroad and I wanted to control my career by myself. So if I sent by the company, I have to return to Tokyo someday. So yeah, actually I sent by a company, but I changed the job in the US so I can stay much longer. So I'm here.
How are you enjoying it so far?
Yeah.
How are you enjoying it so far? Yeah,
it's going both ways.
I mean, I get that a response actually. Yeah, how are you enjoying it so far? Yeah, don't get into the bathrooms. Apparently, that's a problem. And if you've ever been to a Japanese bathroom, fantastic. Not so much. I know you like it. We're just having fun. We've had lunch together, so we have fun.
I enjoying so much, but at the same time, I'm responsible to make the family happier. So I'm happy, but I'm not sure my family is 100% happy. So,
there's a great John Mellencamp song that talks about how there's a happy medium. I see it every time I swing past. And actually, it's funny you mention that because I know a lot of people who come from Japan and they work here and just trying to nail that work-life balance. It's really, really tricky. So that's something that, once again, because I think in Japan, everything's so much more structured, it's easier to kind of like enable that into your life. And I know several people who, they've started working with organizations that became the head of like a Japanese organization. And they just spend 6 months with their head underwater because you are literally you're pulling 80-hour weeks, just trying to keep up with everything that's coming at you. So once again, there's a happy medium. We'll see it every time we swing past. Now, so obviously you've worked in business for a bit. So can you tell us a little bit about your business background?
Okay. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. So I read a lot of books about astronaut, how to become an astronaut. So I know if I am the astronaut, I work for JAXA, the Japanese version of NASA, and then recognized as an official astronaut by NASA. So I start trying to understanding American culture and find out Japanese organization and American organization are a bit different. So that was the first thing. Cultural difference in organization will be theme of my life. And I majored science. Then after that, I have to find my job before graduating grad school. And still I'm thinking I want to do something related to space development. But at the same time, I'm not the astronaut material. But
you are. I mean, that's a high bar. It really is about as high of a bar as you get.
Yeah.
They won't let me even near a space shuttle. They probably decommission them because of me. But go ahead.
Yeah. But if I join consulting company, global consulting company, the team member will be from different countries, different background, the same big mission. So it's kind of like space shuttle. So I joined a big consulting company from America, Japan office. And after over 13 years, I thought I wanted to work abroad. But since the consulting company was big enough to have local people everywhere around the world, so I left the company, but decided to leave there and getting out of the comfort zone to start off a new life in US. So I joined a Japanese consulting company, and they committed to send me to US. So I took the position. And after I worked in Japan for 1 year, I finally arrived O'Hare Airport and then worked there around 1 year. I got the new offer from American Bank, Japanese banking division. So I never think about being a banker at all. So that was one of the biggest decision in my life, but I took it.
And this new position, you're helping Japanese businesses come here, in a sense.
Mhm.
One of the many things you do.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. I'm not selling banking service. I'm selling going to the US.
Right.
I think that way, but it's still 3 months in the bank, so there are a lot of things unknown for me. Have to try to understand who is the right person to talk to. But try to think that way with the big picture.
So you obviously have a very, it's your path of your career has been very, like many of us, it's actually more of an American thing than I think a Japanese thing, where your path kind of winds and twists and turns.
Mm-hmm.
In America, that's just career. That's just, we're all like that. But in Japan, that's not nearly as common. So at some point between you doing all this, when did you decide I need to create a card game? Like, how does this happen?
It's a long story. So this is kind of effect living in US. In Japan, most of the people commit to one job, 100% commit to the job, sometimes 200%. But in US, source of income is important because I might get fired, not because my performance is bad, but the company decide to close the division or reduce the people, right? So
Yeah, I know.
So I wanted to increase source of income, and also maybe because the tax system, American people thinking even if it's small, having the own business is cool. Do you agree? I don't know, but when I was in Japan, I was like being skillful and admitted as a good material, good person, promotion, good position. So I thought that way. And I grew up in Tokyo, so I know how I know the mechanism in Tokyo. So it's almost like autopilot there. But now in here, I have to understand everything. Otherwise, my kids will lost in the US. So I will have variety of experience in here, and I never think about that way, but having my own brand or own company will be a big challenge, but can be a second source of income. So I'm not focused too much on money, but for the experience, I thought it's good. And I was a bit alone in US for a few months. I arrived in December, so it's winter time. And I applied to a workshop design workshop online by Japanese, and I found a business partner in Tokyo.
Wow. Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
So you decided to do a card game, which is interesting. Now I get part of the analytical mindset because you wanted to be an astronaut. So obviously you did sciences, and we've talked before about how like in the before the show where you were like, okay, yeah, like that was my thing. I did physics. I understand this. So it does make sense that you have a very analytical view as to how to, go about like
Yeah.
it's like a source of income, da 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 da. But a card game is definitely not. There's 1,000 things you can do for side income. What made you realize that there needed to be a card game like this?
Yes, so I met the business partner in the workshop design classes, and the final assignment was to share everyone about my original workshop. So my idea was to have co-creation workshop. So there's two organizations, like two companies in the workshop, sharing information, having a nice conversation, and then they find a new business idea during the workshop. That's my idea. And somehow my business partner have completely the same workshop design concept. But our background is different. So we have to do something. We have the same idea from different angle. We should do something. So when I went back to Tokyo, I saw him face to face, and just promised, let's do something, just something. And then we had long meeting, online meeting from Chicago to Tokyo, and at the beginning we still stick to the workshop, but we found out in Japan, co-creation is kind of like buzzword. So in variety of document or articles, they say co-creation. This is co-creation. This is co-creative, in very casual. But nobody understands what's co-creation. How we can provide a co-creative mindset, co-creative environment. So without a standardized process of co-creation or co-creative mindset, but there is a force to do something co-creative. So you will be in charge of co-creation project. That will be a disaster. So we decide to have the standard co-creative process in a fun way, because we grew up and raised to compete. Do you know?
Right.
There is a Monopoly. It's global. Everybody knows what's Monopoly.
Yeah.
Once they see the old man's character or train station, we can easily recognize that's Monopoly. That's famous.
Yeah.
But it's the game to occupy and compete, beat someone. Then we need something to understand and experience and enjoy how to share. So that's the original concept of my card game, Shake Hands.
It's
Right.
interesting because you mentioned that like Monopoly, and everyone talks about how Monopoly is so popular, but it's like people who design games said this is a horrific game. You basically like destroy your friends and your friendship in the process of owning everything. I guess in some ways it's a very American game, but fun fact: the guys who ended up creating the board game Settlers of Catan, they wanted to create a game where you were competing, but you also had to cooperate with one another. And when you were describing Shake Hands, I felt like this is along the lines of that, where it is, yeah, there's some competition, but you do better together if you can find places in which you can work and collaborate. So once again, games that are actually much more enriching. Man, I've heard there are so many essays about how Monopoly is the most evil board game that was ever invented. Fun fact too, that was actually a board game that was invented to help us understand taxes. Like that was the idea, but apparently,
Yeah.
but
But
apparently
also,
it's become a
I,
board game
yeah,
just to destroy people.
I would like to jump in here and comment that when I was a child, one of our favorite pastime was board games. And the kids would get from two or three households would get together. We would play board games or card games, and we would just be there, right? Physically there. And of course, with technology nowadays, I can see that people are more oriented or more inclined to play online games. And of course, with many of those games, you still play with somebody, but that person is not physically there with you. So they're somewhere else in the world, right? Online. And so I wonder what prompted you to create the card game instead of thinking of making it digital?
Yeah, we're not trying to take people's pastime from their life.
Mm-hmm.
We just wanted to share how we can co-creative, and this is co-creative approach, just just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, being in online is to take people's eyes and time, but we didn't want it to compete that
Right. Okay.
that field. Yeah.
It also makes sense because if you, let's say this game is designed to get people who are in the C-suite
Mhm.
executives to like cooperate with each other, putting them in the same room to play a game actually helps facilitate that instead
Yeah.
of if they were just all on their apps.
And I was surprised when I visit Target. There is a wall for a card game and trading cards like this, and entire wall is sports trading cards or One Piece, Pokemon, Disney Princess, that sort of card is taking a lot of face of the store. So
Right.
I think, yeah, then we can do it. And before Christmas, people will buy a lot of board game and card game for family time. I knew it. So
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say, how does this game work? Because we're getting a lot of questions, and we'll get to everybody in the comments in a little while. We promise we're checking them out. But how does Shake Hands work? Because there's like Pokemon, there's like all these different card games. So can you give us at least a brief idea as to
okay.
yeah.
So shake hands is in that name represents being friends or having a nice deal. People shake hands, right? So this game is to play to shake hands, and inside the game, inside the box, there are five imaginary companies. I imagined Apple company, credit card company, and drink consumer goods company. Yeah, everything is imaginary, but combination of existing companies. And each company has 9 cars like this, and it represents one car represents that company have this asset and also this asset and this. So, for example, this is Temporal. It's a opera company. So they have a lot of data around people's body size, and the brand image is very ethical. So that sort of card are prepared for each companies. So when we play in 2 people, I am the Temporal, and the other one is in the role of other company and picking one card, and he picked the other card, and he can decide combine the asset or keep it as it is. And my next turn, I flip the one of my card and can decide combine his card or keep it as mine. And in the end, if we combine the assets, we can multiply the value. Each card has value here, so we can multiply. But if I keep my card inside me, I can only add. So combining, we can do higher value. So there is a yeah, my son, 8 years old son, loved this card game, and he just looking at the value and decide multiply or not. Wait until the card find the bigger value card. And if the business person plays, when they combine, they have to have the idea to combine. Otherwise, he or she can't combine.
Right.
So raising the difficulty of combining, they can learn more or exchange ideas. But it's quite simple to start. Just combine to multiply or just keep it. Yeah. So in that way, they can learn. Oh, it's better to multiply.
Yeah.
Right.
I need an idea.
So how
Oh, I
does
love it. Yeah.
how does one technically win the game, or how is the outcome determined for the end of the game?
So if there's only two-person, here's my card and combine myself and combine by himself. So it can be competition kind of thing. But if there are four people, 2 versus 2, so I and partner are different companies, but creating a value together. And these two are different companies, but combine the shared value. And total asset value can be competition.
At the end, that's the final result. How the final result is determined.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, so people can see the card. So each card, and if you're listening on audio, you won't be able to see the photo, but there's the cards are in Japanese and English. You have your values, you have your imagery, you have your company, and so on, and they're all color coded. So that way we can kind of have an idea as to like what it is we're doing. Because like I have to admit, when it comes to card games, like if it's anything beyond Uno, I get in trouble because I just do. Of course, my family were a bunch of rummy players, so we had that going for us. So question, of course, like talking about card games in general, is that now, is there expansion decks, or is this a self-contained card game?
I want to bring a trading card concept here.
Okay.
So there is a lot of information on one card, because when we have free time, I can read and enjoy, and want to gather more rare card. So it's very small, but we put stars. It means this is ultra rare, and other card is just rare or common. So this is not related to the game itself, but you can take a look and enjoy. Oh, this is rare. Why?
So you can keep making cards and stuff like that. The idea is that people can get expansion packs and so on and so forth. And then this becomes kind of like Magic the Gathering.
Yes. And I want to sell this to a real company. Do you want to have your version? If we create your version, you can use the card for training purpose to combine other companies, existing companies, or my imaginary companies.
Oh, I
So,
can totally see like Japanese companies getting into this because you have like Aurora
yeah,
Airlines, like
yeah,
Anna, could just jump in on this, and then they sponsor You can get 5 businesses to sponsor your card game. I
yeah,
can totally see that. I can totally see that happening.
yes. And
Yeah, a
there are
beverage
some
company.
action cards here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So look at this. This is a risk of tariff card.
Oh, okay.
Risk
And
of tariff card. How
Very up to
exciting.
date. Yeah.
Fantastic.
yes. So I want to produce something like this for 2025 version and
Mhm.
next year 2026 action cards. So people can choose, let's use 2009 version for this game.
Right.
See,
It's gonna be
if you do a tariff card, I think it should just be like a wild card. You have to roll a dice to see what the tariff may or may not be, and you can decide if you want to follow it or not. Because that does seem to be what's happening
yeah,
now. That's about as
yeah,
political.
yeah.
Well, we got more political, but that's okay. We can have some fun. Kind of goof around with this whole tariff thing.
No,
Yes.
but also because reality changes all the time and it
Yeah.
changes, well, the environment changes too.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that you want to update the game based on the environment we live in because it will keep the game fresh for everybody every next year, right? And of course, if somebody wants to play the 2009 version, that's perfectly fine too. But at the same time, that challenge of having what is going right now in the game and practicing to deal with it is such a wonderful idea.
Right, right.
And I can kind of see like the otaku geeks getting into this because this is sort of like the business version. Because I
Yes.
think about a lot of times, like people who are into like Japanese, like obviously I'm one of those people who really like Japanese entertainment, Japanese like culture. And for these are for more the sophisticated aficionado, sort of like that James Bond level of entry. Like, okay, so you really want to know Japanese business? Well, here you play this card game, and now you are now in that upper echelon. Because I think right
Yeah.
now we're at that point. First of all, obviously the card game works wonders for getting executives and Japanese and American business people to have something to play together. Because that is something that happens in a lot of Japanese American companies. The Japanese, the expats sit in one table for lunch, and the Americans sit at another table for lunch. And that's not the most productive
Right, right.
environment. So something like this from a company level is entertaining. You can have tournaments at companies. Everyone's playing each other to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's-
like Pokemon. I can
Right.
make US only cards like Tesla. Come over this table. You have Tesla card. You should come over.
Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could. I know. I wouldn't do Tesla though. He gets enough attention. Let's get somebody else. I'm mad at him for the comments he made about Hiroshima. Anyway, but I like the idea of like, so you have this expansive card game. You can have an American perspective, a Japanese perspective.
Mhm.
So right now you field tested this in Japan, correct?
Mhm.
And so what has been some of the learning process? Like what have you learned? What could you have done better? Like what were some of the speed bumps that you've hit so far? Like what were some of the most interesting things that have happened in the development of this card game so far?
Yeah, most of the people love this card, love this concept, but it doesn't mean they open the box and understand the rules and play multiple times.
Mhm.
So just look at, oh, nice, good material. Oh, I never see a person who printed the original card game. That's it. So if I let them know more about the rules and giving the experience, my business partner is having a kind of workshop, short workshop at the bar or something.
Mhm.
So they already have nice experience, and some of them joined over 4 times in the bar workshop. So there's a fan, but it's hard to start.
Right.
Yeah, because they're sophisticated. There's a lot of rules, and it's not like, well, like, once again, I pulled out that Art of Game Design. The reason why he wrote that book is because nobody ever wrote a book about game design before, like that comprehensive. It's sort of like it's always with us, but we don't see it. Like it's like air, right? There's games all around us, but no one's ever taken the time to explain how to make a game and how to produce a game and the finances behind it. It's a very murky process, it sounds like.
Yes, and I believe they grew up to become competitive. So they don't want to lose. But this is not win or lose kind of game. But they feel like if I don't understand the rule, people might think I'm not smart, and if I don't understand the rule enough, the partner may bored. So
does the game? Does the game come with a handbook, a small handbook with the rules in it, or?
Yeah. So I saw a lot of rule paper,
right,
variety of cards, and actually I made this by PowerPoint.
Wow, okay.
And try to make a professional card game. So there's a lot of information, and maybe this is the cause of they have play anxiety.
Right, yeah.
Pokemon card or other trading card have a nice homepage and video to give instructions, and YouTube 3 minutes to understand what's Pokemon game. So the design is good and their way of explanation is smooth to understand.
Right, yeah. But maybe, because some games are very intuitive. The rules of some games are very intuitive and others are counterintuitive. And I think probably based on how people are conditioned from childhood, I believe that the American culture in general is more competitive, openly competitive than the Japanese culture. And maybe that's a reason for American players to feel that it's maybe more difficult to get used to the rules of the game. What is your feeling there? Do you have observations on this so far?
I'm not sure, but I understand there is anxiety to play with someone with a bit complicated or business topic. So, yeah, I understand that.
Right. Because from my experience in Japan, I think that people are more conditioned to work together. And of course, there are reasons for that. And teams here, they don't have that, let's say, high psychological barrier of tuning into the same project and moving into the same direction. So let's say, I guess that in Japan, people may embrace the game in a shorter time than players in the United States. But I hope I'm wrong, actually.
Can I throw a fun fact in here? Because my dad was a psychologist and he taught psychology at the Joliet Junior College and the College of St. Francis here in Joliet. And he used to do, this is many, many, many years ago, but he used to do this sort of like fun game. Like he did a lot of like sort of like psychology games, right? And one of which was basically, it's a very basic game, your race cars. And there was like 8 or 9 tiers. And you had only 2 moves. You can move up 1 each, or if you move up 2, it sends everybody back 1, right? So that's your only 2 moves. In the end, whoever crosses the finish line first wins, but it's done by round. So in theory, if everybody just goes up 1, 1, 1, everybody wins. Never failed. Somebody always decided at the last minute they were going to screw everyone over and go 2 up and then send everybody down. And so person gets, the appropriate amount of grief in the classroom. And my dad would always say, so why did you decide to do that?
Mm.
Says, well, there has to be a winner. He said, but you all would have won. He says, no, but there can only be one winner, right? And that was fascinating because I think in many ways in Western society, there is that programming of, like in order to be a winner, there just needs to be one. One person can be a winner. That's it. So, and maybe that's part of our individualistic sort of like, that's been baked into us for like centuries. I'm not 100% sure. But it is fascinating that, yes, that in many ways I found, at least in America, you have to have a loser in order to have a winner. Not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As my dad would say, for what it's worth, or put it in for what it's worth.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the gameplay, because I'm looking at all the different like sort of like colors and everything. So you're not in the final version yet. You're getting close to the final version of this, right?
Yeah.
So what's left to do to get this to a point where you feel like you're happy and you can like run with it? Like what are the things you're working on right now for the card game?
Many mentioned the size of the font. And I believe it's not only the size, design of the font, because I have a lot of trading cards or playing cards to benchmark. Oh, they use this font. So usually, the trading card from Japan has black letters rounded by white line.
Mm-hmm.
This is making people easier to read. So I want to do something like that and make it much bigger. And reduce the words a little bit and making it simple. And card game size can be a bit bigger, I believe.
My favorite card is this one. Culture that tolerates failure. This is a fantastic card, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. But leading into that, did you find when you were designing your cards, like are some of these, obviously you're using Japanese business principles and then American business principles. Did you find that some of these cards were heavily leaning towards Japanese business principles and others maybe more American, or were they all just something that met in the middle?
Yes, this target is global. So the fake imaginary company tried to make it global. So some of the founder is from Asia, some of the founder from Europe or US. Try to cover areas in the world.
Right.
How do you feel like this card game is going to, like, especially we talk about like Japan and American business people, how do you feel like this can help? Like if you're, let's say, hypothetical situation on the business card, which is about hypothetical business. Let's say you're like a production studio in America and there's a production studio in Japan. You're just trying to get everybody to kind of like, let's say we meet everybody, and let's play this card game. How do you think like the card game specifically can help like these Japanese and American businesses into, working better together? Besides just the fact that the card game is engineered that way, are there other more specific things about the card game that really push that messaging? I know that's a big question.
Yeah, I never think this card game will bridging US and Japan, even if between Japanese and Japanese there is misunderstanding. And maybe American versus American, there would be a misunderstanding. And using the card game, same rule and same understanding of the asset will help them to have better conversation. Not focusing too much on your internal emotion. Just play the card game.
Right.
Have something common and share the idea, and nothing is right and wrong. So it will change people's relationship. So culture or organization culture or country's culture, the minimum is a conversation. Minimum size of a culture is conversation. So if this card game works well and have the better relationship between people, it will have a huge cultural bridge
Yeah.
card game.
Get people to talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Know each other on a very human level first
Mm-hmm.
before they start talking business or before they start talking politics even.
Yeah, yeah,
Even though I don't think people want to talk about politics nowadays that much.
yeah. So I
Depends on the
wanted to
people.
share standard topics as a card.
Right.
Because I
Yeah.
kind of because I'm looking at more as you look more into the cards. I like the fact that you have like a scriptwriter strike card. Because obviously we did have the screenwriter strike. But it was interesting though, fun fact, because we talk about this a lot on our show, that the fact that we had the Hollywood screenwriter strike
Yeah.
here is
Yeah,
the
I
reason
know.
it allowed a lot more Asian entertainment to come funneling to America, and part of why we've seen this surge in entertainment from Korea, South Korea, Japan, and now China and Thailand is because we were on strike for a bit. It was COVID. We just weren't making stuff. And we got a little antsy, got a little bored. We ran through our Netflix queues and saw everything that the Americans and then the British had to offer. What else we got? And so I wonder if there will be cards that sort of counter that. So can you have a card that will eventually counter the scriptwriter strike and say, oh, well, Japanese screenwriters are working just fine. Let's override that one.
Oh yeah, yeah. So each imaginary company has story. So that one is kind of imaginary Netflix, but the company started in Singapore, and she founder is a female, and her family has a small bookstore, and she is not interested in the book too much, and she wanted to be a movie director and go to the movie academy, and found so many talented young director quit his or her career because of the environment. So she decided to have a platform for the younger directors. So that is the origination of my imaginary company named Binge Stream.
But by the way, I love the fact that the imaginary companies have this whole backstory. No, it's true. It's not just you're just some company. There's a whole purpose behind the company, which is from a screenwriter and a storytelling point of view. That's what makes it so immersive. Is that it isn't just some XYZ company. That there's a whole story and a character behind each company, which might affect how you play the game as well.
Yeah. So I wanted to create a Wikipedia for my fake story, so that people can understand more about the cars, how the asset come from. So I want to prepare some side set of contents like Wikipedia, or we can make a short movie for introducing the founders.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that maybe even including the short stories of the story of each company, in the let's say the box of the cards.
Yeah,
I think that it will help too, because people like to read.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take that long to read that story, I believe.
Yes.
So
and this is Zempearl is a ethical apparel brand. So we can sell ethical apparel brand as Zempearl. So
okay.
Card and fake story is the first, but we can
I see. Okay.
expand as a brand.
So it's already there. The stories are included in the book. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can totally see a website that explains. You can have like these fake little videos of like commercials for each one, but that's what makes it so much fun.
Right.
You know, and then it makes it relatable. And I think once again, too, especially if you're leaning heavier into the Japanese, like obviously there's a European company, there's an American company, but obviously this is a very Japanese focused,
Yes.
Japanese focused card game that it for people who are like interested to have that website, to have these stories, to have like the fake, like to make this immersive experience.
Yeah.
So that when it comes time to just play the cards, people feel emotionally engaged with it. It isn't just numbers. There's because I think in the end, like you said, your 8-year-old son plays a game, but he's thinking about math. And it's probably easy to play the game if you think about the math, but what makes the game more interesting is if there is an emotional attachment to the company you're playing, because then the art imitates life. Many times, we always think that companies are rational organizations. And no, a lot of times companies are relying on their emotional intelligence and not necessarily what the data is telling them they should do. Because their gut instinct says something else. Now, every now and then, that gut instinct is right. So never, you can't dismiss that. But for those who think that, and I know we tried to sell this whole Shark Tank idea with American business, that, just be cold, be calculating, just, winner take all, Hunger Games, capitalism, whatever, right? All this crap. But that's really, in the end, even the best business people don't make decisions in a bubble like that. They're not machines. They're trusting their gut instincts. They're trusting their heart. So the idea that you would create a game that is very immersive like this, where people can become emotionally attached to the company that they're playing, actually enhances the gameplay.
Yeah. I have noticed here in Japan, whenever we go to onsen areas and stay at ryokans, the ryokan rooms usually offer a set of games. And most of the time, most of the time they are traditional games like 3D puzzles that are very popular here in Japan. But sometimes there are also something which is a little bit modern. And I have been thinking, have you considered also approaching ryokans and hotels and offering them to buy the game and have it in their rooms?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because a lot of families who go there, they travel because they want to get away from their screens. They want their children to get away from their screens. And when you sit in the room after dinner and after you have soaked in the onsen, and so what's a good way to spend time together by, engaging everybody in the family? I think it's a game, always.
Wow, that's good. I was thinking Japanese companies hands calendar at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Without any topics, they visit other clients and hand calendars. Thank you for this year and Happy New Year. But nowadays, everybody have Outlook and Google Calendar. Nobody will use paper calendars. So instead of printing calendar, what about printing your company's asset into 9 cards? And they can play in the new year or during the vacation. Yeah, I was thinking that way.
I think that's a great idea too. It's not going to fly with my mother-in-law because she still loves the paper calendars on her wall. But she's 80 years old, and everybody else, as you said, who is still in the office working, they use their Google Calendar or Apple Calendar. So, probably offering the cards to them is the way to go.
Yeah.
Looking at our comment wall, we've had like a whole conversation, and it's been fantastic. So I'm going to have to summarize a little bit. But we had Frederick and Hiroaki and Andrew and Lillian. We're all like talking about all these different ideas. So to kind of sum up, basically reiterating the fact that, America's gotten a little Hunger Gamesy and it comes to like we all have to work 3 jobs just to survive. We totally get that. In terms of like, oh, yes. And then Frederick said that, yes, I was right, sort of. But the Monopoly was invented by a woman who was a Quaker, and the game was meant to show the immorality of high rents, which apparently is, the meaning has gotten completely,
right.
Stolen by a guy who pitched it to a department store in Philadelphia, and then became the winner take all, like mean game that destroys Thanksgiving. So we all know it is today. And then Hiroaki gave a lot of advice about like, how like he was asking a lot of the questions about like, is there going to be extension packs? Is there going to be a trump card? Liking the idea of the universal design. And then Lillian had mentioned that card games are more interesting and novel and more likely leave a lasting impression than just, trying to do business as usual. And the fact that in a highly competitive business environment, unique card designs can highlight a brand's personality and set it apart from its peers, and goes on and on. Just, it was so cool because I think people really got excited about this idea, and they haven't even seen the card game yet.
Thank you, everyone.
We're seeing everybody just really, really, addressing the fact that, I think a lot of the topics, if you're seeing, is that the fact that the card game is a great idea. People love playing card games. It's a nice way to get repertoire amongst people. And Hiroaki, I mean, you might want to read his comments. He has all these ideas for like different card games, and like, and the fact that he thinks like a cooperative card game could do very well in Japan, and I think honestly could do very well here in America too. We do have Settlers, Catan, and many other games that do feature that. So,
Right.
and once again, nobody kicks over the table if they lose. I've seen that. I played Monopoly a lot when I was a kid. I've seen it get ugly fast. We're all lucky to be alive some game Monopoly. I'm just like, shots fired at Monopoly all night, but you know what? They deserve it. Anyway. So what's
Right.
so as we get into the close, Kanako-san, what's next for the card game? Where do you want to take it? And you have other creative projects on the horizon?
Yeah. I have many ideas, but the most important part is to make people play the game.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Before you continue with other projects, so because you want to make people play the game, where can they find the game?
That's the problem. So we're not selling online as of now, and trying to have a workshop style environment online and also face to face. So I love to think about new idea or new contents, but now is the time to get out of my comfort zone, to see people and get the feedback from them and reflect the second edition, reflect the idea for the second edition. So that's a bit hard emotionally, but I have to face that. That's the next step.
And what advice would you give anybody who is wanting to start a card game, who wants to get into game design? Is there any sort of advice that you would like to give somebody who's starting this path?
Oh, yes, that's important. So I am not creating card game is not my main job, and this is my first card game. And starting from handwriting, look at this, handwriting everything, and sharing this handwriting idea to my friends. So I'm not pushing you to become professional or competitive. Just focus on yourself, what is inspired you, and think about how you can deliver your inspiration. My case was card game, but anything is possible. And I use AI for the middle picture. So using AI is fastest way to create a draft. And if you don't like the picture provided by AI, just give the AI more ideas. They will provide better design. And doing that, you will have, oh, this is my thing. So using AI and find the best friend to not giving the feedback, just be with you and cheer up you.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a very important point, because if we try to work on a project alone, eventually it becomes tedious and sometimes we lose faith. And quite often, actually, we stop working for a while at least. So having a friend who you can talk with, who can cheer you up, is underrated.
Yes. Yes.
Well, yes, game design by definition cannot be designed alone.
Right.
There's a lot of play testing, a lot of
Yeah.
field work, a lot of back and forth to get this thing right. And so we'll be doing some of that here in the States, actually. We're working on something right now where we can get some gamers here in the United States to give this thing a whirl and at the table and give some feedback. So, Kanako-san, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And we look forward. Is there a website where people can go to at least see the draft for Shake Hands, to see how it progresses?
Yeah, it's bilingual.
Great.
Can they see the website? Where's the website at? Or we'll put it in the feed?
I'm not watching the feed, but I will comment.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, please.
Yes. We'll make sure for everyone watching, we'll post where you can keep up with the progress of Shake Hands, and then when these things become officially available, where you'll be able to buy your copy. And we hope you love it. So thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Next week, Stephanie Ariane, who is a Japanese Filipino actress living in Japan, and she's going to be on the show, and we're excited to have her as well. So we're going to be back into the world of film and television in 2 weeks. We hope you all join us, and we'll talk then. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. See you next time.